You are the Resident Evil head. What do you think about the gameplay trailer for the new video? I'm of the opinion that Resident Evil 4 is still an amazing game, and you could just do a remaster and be fine. But they want to do a full remake. What's your opinion?
So this is a very weird place we're in, and I think it's strange because we're at a time where we're starting to catch up to at least modern day graphics, where it's sort of like, all right, Final Fantasy 7, gotcha. All right, polygon, sphere, hands, we got to remake that game. Okay, story can be retold a little bit different. I like it. I dig it. Right? Now we're kind of getting into GameCube PS2 era of games, classic games that need to be remade.
Need is a strong word.
That people would like to see remade. That people would buy. Okay?
Some people, yes.
Shut up.
Sorry,
Damn it! I'm
just fucking. Yeah, I'm just
talking too much.
I'm just trolling you.
Fuck out of here.
Just let me speak. Damn it. So I think it's great that they're remaking this. The one thing that I can say about the game is that they are doing a great job of taking everything about Resident Evil 4 and keeping it very sacred from what I can see. A lot of people were worried that they were going to cut the castle out of the game. That's in the trailer. That's going to be in the game. Who knows how big it's going to be. But also, they're taking little things like the first area. They're adding a basement into it. Shocking, I know. I feel like they add a basement into every first area of like modern Resident Evil now. But pretty much what I'm saying is they're taking the source material, they're respecting it, they're adding more stuff into it and subverting expectations. So they're doing exactly what they should be, where they are keeping game mechanic aspects. They are keeping where the shotgun was in the first area of the game, right? They are keeping like the chainsaw man, but they're also doing different things like, hey, chainsaw man's gonna attack you and you gotta block his chainsaw with your pistol. And they're also keeping, hey, you can kick people and then do like attack actions to keep them off of you. Stuff like that, where I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a good game. Do I think it needs to be remade? That is a very hard question to answer. And I don't know. I would like... I think Resident Evil 4 is a great game the way it is, and I don't think it needs to be remade. I'll just say it. It doesn't need to be remade. This is like, we're at the point where we need money area of things, like where, you know what I'm saying? It's like that old, that meme of break glass in case of emergency. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying it's in that territory, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, it's like so our great article or great observation was just out on the Our Game subreddit. It's just like, why are we making old games that are, or not even old, like semi-old games that are not only that are just good, they're good games. Like, why remake something that is already a very complete experience? Like, why are we not remaking the games that could have been great games but fell short? Why are you not remaking the bad games but there was something there that could have made it an amazing game? Like, why are we already remaking really good experiences where games that could have been great experiences could have been remade? Like, I don't understand why they couldn't have done Code Veronica, which is a game that I think everyone was like, this has some good ideas, but it could have been redone, instead of RE4, which everyone still loves the current game. There's still a million ways to play it. How fucking Mark Zuckerberg just did a whole VR version where you can do the fucking VR interaction shit. And it's still Resident Evil 4.
There's a million ways to play RE4. I think they're worried that if they did Code Veronica, that it wouldn't quite... I think they're worried about the sales, and I think really what the problem is that they had... As weird as it sounds, like, you have to almost look at Resident Evil as like two different things right now. You have to look at it as like old Resident Evil, like third person, and then first person Resident Evil with 7 and 8. They essentially play the same, but they're different, like, people are worried that Resident Evil 3 had a very lukewarm reception. Like, it's not a bad game, but it's not a really good game either. It's not. It was meant to originally be part of Resident Evil 2 remakes. It was supposed to be DLC. And then they're like, oh, well, we can make more money if we make it a second game. But then
Just sell this bitch for 60.
yeah, and then they sold it for $60 and then cut content from it. And it just didn't. I think they're trying to restore faith in the fan base by making Resident Evil 4. Because of the disappointment that was RE3. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe go back and make Resident Evil Code Veronica. It's not story-wise. Story-wise, they're not too out of shift from one another. Like, they could make RE4 and then Code Veronica, and it wouldn't fuck with one another. You know what I'm saying?
But I think RE4 is the emergency brake in Glass. You know what I mean? And it's like, if they do this, like, what's the anticipation now? Like, are we gonna remake 5? Maybe honestly, 5 had problems, so like it would almost be more interesting. Like, I think RE4 is one of, if not the most beloved game in the franchise. So I question remaking it.
Because RE5 is incredibly not incredibly underrated, but it is underrated, and it's for so. It has race problems, of course, because you're going into African towns and murdering people. And, I think that is like the biggest thorn in that game's side.
It is a charged game.
It is a charged game. And I don't know if they realized that what they were doing when they were doing it. I can't speak from that point of view. Yeah. But I can only say that the gameplay itself is very fun, and that
sorry, I just want to make a point that kind of piggybacks on your point. I entirely agree. It's possible to be accidentally culturally. I'm not even gonna say culturally insensitive, but that's the word I would use rather than racist accidentally. You know what I mean? Or like it's entirely possible to be culturally unaware rather than intentionally like, oh, this is racist. But keep going.
Like I can't really speak on that. I mean, I can say that 4, 5, and 6 are all in different countries and continents. Mm. And I think they did that on purpose because they're like, well, we've been in America forever, now we want to go somewhere else. And then, like, it's also made by a Japanese company, so I don't know if, like, they were, they really look at things that way because they're, like, so isolated from the rest of the world. Do I think that's an excuse? Absolutely not. I think, but RE5, like, in its core gameplay, is one of the best multiplayer co-op experiences you can have in video games. In my opinion, it's one of the best. It's period. It is such a fantastic game. It's so fun. It's great. It's fun. It's amazing to play with a friend. I've never played another co-op game that was as good as that game, co-op wise. Which is why I was like, I think I bought one of you the game, and because I was trying to convince you both to play it with me this Halloween season, because it's one, like, I've already beaten it on every difficulty. Yeah. It's a great game, but yes, but other than that, no, I don't think. I think it peaked at 5, and then that's when it hit the dip after 5. It's like when you hit 6. And then it's like, Revelations, which is they're okay,
Yeah. But I mean, I guess this is my whole point is that, like,
no, I don't think they need to remake 5.
Yeah. So, but that we're getting to the point where the further time goes, the more likely we are to get remakes of those games. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, let's stop. Wait a minute. Like, if we're at the point where we have to remake even great games, like, what more are we adding to the conversation? Like, I don't know if, like, is this an alternate universe? Is this just a reboot? Like, not only are we graying the lines between, like, reboot, remaster, and remake, which were already kind of a nightmare.
That's not blurring the lines, in my opinion.
But it's like, we have to ask, like, why we're doing it. Like, why can't we just make something new? Why can't we make an alternate timeline? Why can't we, like, make a new game? Like, it feels more, making a copy of a copy of a copy, like, endlessly, like, mining down on something where, like, you could have just made something new. Like, give me more Ethans. Give me more new characters in the Resident Evil universe that I haven't met before. Like, why are we doing more of the same?
Have you played through 8? If
Watched
no,
cover to cover. I'll play
okay,
through of it. Yeah.
okay. So then, so if you guys didn't know, 8 basically says, okay, well, Ethan's done. His
I
story's over.
know. And
It
then
goes
we're doing
over.
Rose.
Now we're on Rose, which apparently the DLC's out now.
Yeah, but I think Rose is supposed to be a one-off too, supposedly. It's just her DLC. I don't
That
think she's
that
getting a
that
full game after. Yeah.
so
No.
no. So look, I don't know. I haven't played the DLC yet. Would I like to? Yes. Please don't tell me about the DLC yet, because I'm still gonna play it.
I haven't watched. I haven't watched it.
Okay. So she's intended to be the next main protagonist. There are other things that can happen, but look, they have veered off. 7 was like, all right, we're going in a different direction, and it's great. But they're also saying, hey, look, old fans of the show of the game, and here's this is for you.
Yeah.
Here's the older games, and I think that they work well together in conjunction. But it's sort of like, look, if you were to take what Capcom has as their most popular game, like what are their 2 most popular games? You've got Monster Hunter, Resident Evil. These are their 2 bread and butters. There will until those games start to like poop the bed, they're going to keep making them until they stop making money.
Yeah, but Monster Hunter isn't so focused on the past. Although again, maybe they'll run out
Literally
of
the same fucking game for like the past 20 years.
Yeah,
No offense, guys.
It's just like the core concept of Monster Hunter. You kill a monster, you make gear from that monster. You kill a bigger monster.
Yeah,
it's
Monster
just
Hunter
the standard treadmill that you run on in Monster
Hunter is a gameplay loop.
Every game always innovates the mechanics surrounding that. Like in Rise, they added all new like movement options with the wire bug, which shook up the gameplay massively.
To be fair, I wasn't really. I'm exaggerating when I say it's the same game. I have played lots of Monster Hunters. I'm tired of them. I don't. If they add new mechanics or new bugs, personally, I'm not interested in seeing the new monsters, the returning monsters. I'm a little bit over Monster Hunter. That's why I'm saying that. So it's a little unfair for me to generalize that hard. It's the same thing with Resident Evil. Like you could say, well, they're only really adding in first person or whatever, and that's fair.
I guess to me, I would love. I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, I would be fine if they remade 5. I'd be fine if they remade 6. I'd be fine if they remade 7. I would be fine if they remade 8. But at a certain point, you have to ask, what new thing are we getting that is legitimately worth getting that we didn't already have? Like, how much novelty are we adding here to justify a remake? And I think that's the question you have to start asking yourself. Like, are you making plot changes? Are you making graphics changes? Are you making mechanics changes? At what point is the line between, okay, this is just a remaster, and at what point is like, this is actually worthy of the term remake? And again, is this quote unquote remake really necessary? I ask this all the time with movies. Like, that was how I felt about Hocus Pocus 2. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't think but I guess my point was that like there wasn't. I think there needed to be more there for a complete movie on the level of the first one. Everything else I feel like is reductive in a certain sense.
I think that they are sort of locked in with. It's such a fine line they have to walk.
And that's the problem. Like if you do something people already like, if you fuck up one thing, or even if it's a small change, you're just gonna get pooped on. And I'm like, what? Then you just Which
is why I'm saying that they're adding in new areas and certain things that were not in the original game. And that is the only thing that is currently giving me hope in terms of, this game being somewhat different, because it's like Back to the Future 2, man. Everybody just wants Back to the Future, but a little bit different, Is Back to the Future 2 good as 1? Probably not, but I would be curious to see what I'm thinking, what I'm worried about is it going to be as fun gameplay wise as the first game? That's all I care about. What new mechanics? I don't know. What new weapons? But we'll find out.
So, do you remember was it John Tron who does sequelitis? Who started sequelitis?
I believe it is Egoraptor.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, it was Ego Raptor. It wasn't Judge Rod. So like, I question if like remakes have become the new sequelitis. You know what I mean? It's just like, did we need this? Was this novel enough that this needed to be done? I don't know. That's my question. Like, I honestly think the VR remake of 4 was the most interesting thing done in 4 in years. And I question if this new game is gonna have like as much cool new stuff to be like, yes, this is worth it.
Look, they would be crazy not to remake Resident Evil 4. Like, you have to think about it. It is one of the best-selling Resident Evil games of all time. It's one of the best video games of all time.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I have to say that because I don't know. Everybody has a different opinion on which one's the best.
Yeah.
It's on look at all the consoles. It's on PS2. It's on GameCube. It's on
every Gen 3 console or later, right?
It's on VR. It's on PC. It's on the Wii, right? Like you can play it in so many different ways, right?
Yep.
And it's like it still sells. They're like, oh well, it's still selling. Like, well, why don't we just remake it? Like people were disappointed in 3. Let's just do it again. And then
why were they disappointed in 3? You know, I think there wasn't enough meat from the first game.
It's because ironically 3 suffered the same fate as the original 3, which was Resident Evil 3 was rushed after Resident Evil 2 was successful. So Resident Evil 2 remake was successful, so they rushed Resident Evil 3 remake.
Wasn't it originally
Nemesis
just supposed to
also
be DLC?
suffered from the same problems in both versions of the game. He's not really a threat. Nemesis is just kind of there for you to knock down and get some free shit out of and then move on.
He's a threat if you mess up real bad. And so I'll put it to you this way. The Nemesis system or like Mr. X or whatever. I mean, I know Mr. X was a nightmare at times.
Yeah, he was way more of a threat, but his system was more thought out. Cuz he could show up anywhere. Whereas Nemesis once again literally just has, oh, he's going to be here, here, here. Not here, not here, not here, and then here.
Mr. X will not necessarily show up anywhere, but he'll show up like let's say
like comparatively, right? Like you could encounter him in a spot where you've never encountered him before. With Nemesis, that's just not a thing. He has his scripts where he is, and that's it.
Yeah, but I think from what I understand, in the first game, he could do more than he could even do in the remake, which I'm just like, what? Like he was more mobile. He would show up in more random spots. Whereas in the new game, he's just like, I think 2 or 3 scripted encounters. I was a little mad about how little he shows up in the new game, to be honest.
Talking about 3?
What?
Yeah, in the new Resident Evil 3.
That's Nemesis, not X.
Oh, sorry.
He's confusing 1, 2, and 3 a little bit.
He is, yeah.
Well, I mean, just
I'm just saying, I'm mad he doesn't. I think who's the one in 3? Is it Nemesis?
Yeah, it's Nemesis.
Yeah, I think Nemesis shows up more in the original 3 than he shows up in the new one. Which in the new one, it's just
that's because there's cut content.
Yeah,
he was already scripted in the original 3.
Well, anyway, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that there has to be. I don't think it needs to be remade. I think it's perfect the way it is. But am I still interested to see what they're gonna do with this new version? Yeah. Yes. Do I like the way it looks? Yeah, I think it looks great. I think I am excited for the new content. I love Resident Evil 4. Yeah. Once you start honestly, I will sometimes forget how much I love that game, and then I'll come back to it and I'll want to play through it again. Yeah. I'm not one of those people that, like just gets to know a game and then plays it over and over and over again. Yeah. That bores me. What
do you think of I'm going to call it August theory of adaptive media.
Sure.
It's not really a fully fleshed out theory.
I'm down.
But essentially, if you're going to make a adaptation, say a reboot of something that is already good in its original form, you have to make one very distinct, very different choice. You have to put your one stamp on it that's different. And you have to take responsibility for that stamp. If people don't like it, they don't like it. But you have to do one big thing that's different, and have a reason for why you changed it.
Okay. So, like, are you asking me what I would change to make it like one giant jump differently?
Yeah,
I think that's a better question.
You can answer me that. But I'm like, what do you think of the fact that I believe in media adaptation, where the good thing is already great?
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you go to adapt a good thing that's already great, you have to make one big change and just go with it.
That's really tough. Because it seems like they already have the formula down, and it hasn't really failed them so far. They could add a nemesis system, but I mean, I don't know. That would probably kill the vibes of 4. What would it be? What if they? I could say something easy like add co-op. Like I could say that, and like you could play with a friend.
Ashley stuff to do. Yeah.
Yeah, you could give Ashley stuff to do. That's actually one thing that I think they could get rid of is the whole Ashley stuff. And like have her be a better CPU. And I think I would be happy with that.
Can I weigh in now?
Sure. Hop in.
Feel free to
as another RE head. All right. So for 4, I am actually excited. For me personally, it doesn't have to do anything like vastly different. It doesn't have to tell a new story. It doesn't have to add like a bunch of new story threads or anything like that. Because I feel like RE4 is just such a like complete little package that changing it can only end in disaster.
Really what they're like playing a fine line where if all they had to do is just add more content, and that's all they really need to do to make it a better game.
They could add some bonus content at the end or something. I don't know.
No, I think
but if they do anything,
no, sorry, you go.
They can modify the Ashley escort, because the Ashley escort has not aged well at all. Like
AI,
you literally put her in a dumpster.
Yeah, you do. Exactly. It's a nothing, right? Like they could do so much more. She could be like more active, like Ellie in like Last of Us or something, where she can actually be doing things.
Or Elizabeth.
I think it'd be nice to actually like elevate this character rather than just have, oh, here, you go sit in this pot and I'm gonna go clear this room and then I'll tell you when to come back.
A damsel in distress.
Elizabeth in BioShock Infinite throws you ammo.
Yeah, but she's just kind of like a plot point plus an ammo machine.
I
also wasn't a big fan of. But at least, she couldn't just run in and die. That was great. I like that.
Quint, remember when we did the survival horror tier list and in BioShock Infinite wasn't even on there?
Yeah. Like
it wasn't even on there. Well, I think it's because they don't even consider it a survival horror game. It's just literally just a shooter.
What is it? BioShock Infinite is an adventure game. The first 2 BioShocks are horror games, maybe.
Yeah.
Infinite's definitely just an adventure.